Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host on this podcast. This is live. How to fight with CPS and how to keep your children. I welcome you all. This is an interactive podcast. We're broadcast from Southern California, and there's several ways you can interact with me. First and foremost, I'm glad you come in here because I know you're hurting with CPS and don't understand them, don't trust them, don't know about them. I'm hopefully in the next hour I can help you. So I really care about you and your case. One way to interact is to do a text message to me. All you need to do is type in your name and the city and state you're from, and then type me something about your CPS case or a question you may have, something related to child protection services or the child protection system. The CPS can have a lot of different meanings. Now, if you happen to be outside the U.S. and you want to ask me a question from another country, you're welcome to do so. I've had people from Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, Mexico, Mozambique, and Denmark. Those are the countries that have requested some help. It's interesting that the same situation going in the United States is also going in those countries. The child protection system is an agency in the United States, is a government agency that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. Apparently, it seems the CPS, because it's a $38 billion business a year, thinks only about money and trafficking our children. Yes, that's right, trafficking our children. They also do alienation, where they alienate the child from the parent. This is known from my cases I've been dealing with for 14 years. I've talked to over 500 people in different parts of the country. The same thing goes true. I've also talked to social workers for CPS here on the show. I had a social worker a week ago from Maryland, and she talked about how they do things in Maryland. I welcome everybody that's involved in the CPS to text in, or the other way you can do is a call in. Right now, I have an office phone, 626 698 0990. And you call that number and you reach my phone, and I'll put you on speaker and give you live on the show. So that's 626 698 0990, and you can be on my show, and I'd love to hear from you. We had one person this morning named Shayla Cole, Bowens, Montana. Hello and welcome, Shayla Cole. If you want to talk about your case, you can text me, or if you want to talk live, you can come on the show. I have a producer that helps me produce this show. Her name is Grace. She's a hard worker behind the scenes, but she's with me all the time and helps me out and make sure my show is doing okay. If you want to be a guest on my show, that means assign a date or a time. Please email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, Sheila Code, I talked to you around a week ago about my 4 grandchildren being taken from my daughter January 22nd this year, 13 days after. What's the latest? What's the latest that you have? What's your latest there? This is what she said for all that you're listening stuff there. Now, all of you that are listening in, I want you to know This show is being produced by Vincent W. Davis and Associates. And you found us on Facebook by typing in Fight CPS, and that's how you came across us. And I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. I'm on in the morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, in the evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a 1-hour show. On Sunday, I am on at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. That's the only deviation. If I change, I will let you know. Now, I do have some co-hosts. I don't know where they are. One is Kay from Kentucky, and Danielle is from Georgia. And they said they agreed to be a co-host with me every day of my show. But I know that Danielle was having trouble with the internet last night, and Kay said that she'd be able to start the beginning of the week. I'm sorry that the grandchildren have lost their father due to suicide. That is the worst thing to ever. How is the mother doing? How is the mother? So I know you're the grandmother. So how's your daughter doing? I also want to thank Mr. Davis for providing this podcast. And he'd like to help you. You can reach him at 888-888-6582. I'll talk more about Mr. Davis. Now, last night was interesting. We had a young woman who had 2 children, and she's Armenian. And she lost her parents in an earthquake. She met a man from Iraq who trafficked her, meaning that he seduced her, married him, came to the United States. They had a child. That child is 18, but he now has taken her child from her, and he's in New Jersey, and he is trafficking that child again. Meanwhile, about 5 years ago, one of the people in the trafficking ring raped her, so she had another child. And that child's 5, and she wants to protect that child. And she was asking for help. And at that time, I told her about Amnesty International. The main office is in Europe. Its home base is in United Nations. And I was able to give her the information how to contact them. I also told her about a program in California called Safe Passage that helps out mothers and children that are lost that don't have ones there. There's a part of CPS we don't really talk that much about is the abused women and the women that are caught up in the trafficking and their children. And now rape, some of these have children and they don't give them up for abortion. And so they're struggling to try to take care of these children. It's really, really hard. Everybody has a hardship story, including myself. Sheila Cole, if you want to talk on the show, you're perfectly free to call me at 626-698-0990. So this person last night was talking about her case, and I was able to help her. I know all of you out there, each case is different. Each case has its ups and downs. But all thing that is common with y'all, you're doing with the CPS. Now, maybe a different name in other states, DCS. There's other acronyms, but it all means the same thing. I call it the CPS, meaning Child Protection System. In California, it's called Child Protection Services, CPS. Other states, it's called that also. So when I say CPS, I'm talking about all the different agencies, government agencies that keeps our children, protects our children from abuse and neglect, and does family reunification. Apparently, though, they're just doing the opposite. It seems like I hear a very good story on here about someone that was involved in CPS and got their children back okay. It's usually the worst. One of the things they're doing lately is they take children and say they're in extreme danger, which they are not. They open a case on an allegation by either a layperson or professional. They believe the allegations for real. You're guilty till you're proven innocent. Within 24 hours, they start the investigation, and then they go ahead and try to reach you in your home, and they immediately take your child, even though there's no imminent danger. Because me included, we didn't have attorneys. We didn't know what CPS is. We don't know how we're not born with a manual. We didn't take a class. It's great that they have this thing to protect our children and to help our families reunify, but they don't seem to, they've lost that point. They're caught up in the money making part of things. In my case, my children were paid not my children, but the agency, CPS, was paid $20,000 per child per month. That's $60,000 a month or $6 million a year. It's getting really terrible if they have 100 children. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And my social worker was notorious because the social workers where my case was held, they're not required to have a college degree. I think they should be clinical psychiatrists, a major in college, clinical psychiatrists, and a minor in social work. And they need to take social work classes. They need to take the parenting classes, the programs, everything that they ask you to do as a parent, they should be familiar with it and take it themselves. Also, they need a class on how to work with families and how to treat families with respect and treat elders and seniors with respect. Right now, CPS was very bad towards me. They didn't treat me with respect. They didn't treat me with anything. And even though I'm younger, I look younger than I really am, they just were very rude and disrespectful to parents. And it's sad because you're in a world that you have no control over. It's terrible. So I know that what you're going through is caused a lot of pain. You love your children. You wouldn't be in this room if you did love your children. People that don't care about children are bad, but they're not going to take time to fight for their kids or try to get. You're in this room because you're looking for help. We're all not born with a lot of money. I know that some of us are homeless. That's not a crime. What's important to our children is that we take care of our children with food and shelter and love and take them to school and get them medical treatment when they need it. Those are the basic things that we need to do with our children. There are horror stories you hear all the time about mothers abandoning their children for weeks on end and they come back and they're dead. Or they don't like the child crying, so they slam him against the wall. Or they give him hard spankings that causes bruises. That's wrong. That's wrong. Timeouts are always a better way of disciplining children. But the key to timeout is that after you do the timeout with them, then you should ask them what they felt they did was wrong. Why was a timeout? Explain to them what the timeout was for and talk to them and show them love. A timeout is a wonderful thing that we can use in society, at the workplace. If you get aggravated by something, instead of blowing your top or getting loud or violent or anything like that, you do a timeout. You just leave the scene, go for a walk. If you live near the beach, you go for a walk along the beach. Near a park, go in a park. Whatever you do, you need a timeout to unwind from what's aggravating. And that is true at work, the workplace and things like that. It's crazy when people come back and want to shoot up the place or kill people. It's just, there's a lot of emotions that people are going through. And every day you don't know what that person is. My rule of thumb is that never judge a person unless you walk in their moccasins. It's an old Indian saying. And so I wanted to say that. And I have heritage. I have American Indian heritage. My first immigrants that came over from Siberia through the land bridge in Alaska settled in North America. And my great great grandmother is a full blooded Lakota Sioux from the Rosebud Reservation, one of the poorest places on this planet. It's sad. It's really sad how a very keen culture who seemed to do very well in the plains would be destroyed in a matter of years. In the 1800s, it was downhill spiral. It really was. It really was downhill spiral. And CPS cases, go rampant. And since I'm talking about the Native American Indians, when you do your safety plan, and that's usually when your kids are taken away from you in the first week, you're supposed to make a list of all the relatives that can stay with you. But if you're a Native American Indian and you got blood in you and you're registered or could be registered with that tribe, then CPS must contact the tribe and see if you are registered or could be registered. And if you are, then they can turn the child over to an Indian family. They'll turn to the tribe, and the tribe in turn will find a family that the kids can stay with until the parents come back and reunify with whatever problems that existed. But they're not in there for the money. The Indian people are good people. They have big hearts inside. They're the same thing like the Polynesian people. It seems all these people around the world that we may think is primitive sometimes have a better lifestyle than we do. But they have a thing called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, and that was passed in the late 1970s, and it mandated that CPS must contact Indian tribes. If you tell them, they'll ask you, do you have any Indian blood in you? Are you a registered Indian, or could you be registered? And if you are, then you tell them what tribes: Chippewa, Comanche, Pawnee, Crow. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lakota Sioux. Anyway, they'll contact them, and I feel that the Indian families are better suited to take care of than the foster care families that CPS uses. It's most of them have not been safe and been abused. It's so sad because some of these children grow up in the foster care system to 18. Then they get old and they want to have babies and families. And because they have a record, CPS will use that against them. It's really callous how CPS is. They use so much deception and lying. They're not transparent. They're not even skilled social workers. This one social worker from Maryland said, "Oh, even though I'm a clinical psychiatrist, I have to um, take 6 months of training." All right, we have someone just called in. Who am I talking to? And welcome. It's okay. Did you want to say something? Take your time. We have a caller, area code 406. I don't know what area that is, but you're connected to my podcast of Fighting CPS and Save Our Children.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's sometimes hard to talk. Who am I talking to?
This is Sheila Cole from Billings, Montana.
Oh.
It's weird that you were talking about the natives.
Right. The Native Indian thing.
I was trying to text you, but it wouldn't send.
Oh.
My daughter is with a Native American. That's her fiance. And he got a hold of the Indian Affairs yesterday. His rights have been violated like no other.
I can believe that. I
Be
can
in
believe
lots of
that.
trouble.
What tribe is he with?
Oh yeah.
What tribe is he with?
In the Dakotas, it starts with an S. I don't think it's Sioux. It's something in the Dakotas.
Huh. Okay.
Registered with.
Okay.
He did the ECWA thing yesterday.
Well, yeah, because if his child has his blood, then their children are Indian, and they can take the children. CPS must give them to the tribe.
He doesn't have any kids with her. That's the thing. But when they took the kids, he was a part of the case because they told him that he needed to do UAs 3 times a week, do treatment, which he had started 3 weeks before the kids were even taken. And then when he would go to court and stuff, he's not allowed in the courtroom. Oh, no, he's not a party to this case.
Wait a minute. Is he the biological father? Is he the biological father?
No. But he is the guardian.
Okay. This is the problem. That's what the CPS is getting you on a technicality. If he's not the biological father, then those children don't have the Indian blood, so they can't get the benefit of ICWA.
My granddaughter does have Indian blood, though.
Oh,
my youngest, 6-year-old. She is Crow.
Well, how did she get the Indian blood? Well, where's her father? Is her father the blood or your daughter?
Yeah, her father.
Okay. Is the father still a part? See, I'm confused. You have how many children? 3 children?
There's 4.
Okay. Do they all have the same fathers? Do they have the same fathers?
3 of them do, and their dad committed suicide 12 days into the case. So, yeah. But the guy that called to report my daughter, he has the kids. He has 3 of them. My oldest grandson is in foster care because he and that guy didn't get along, and he threw him down the steps and all kinds of good stuff. But thank God my grandson is in a good place. He's 50 miles away foster care, but it's a good family. They're doing great things with him, and I get to see him on Sundays.
Yeah.
Supervised, mind you. Yeah, and I just got it approved to see my 3 youngest for 1 time a month. I can see them supervised. I didn't do anything. This is all coming from the guy that reported it because I wouldn't sleep with him. It's my daughter's ex.
Okay. Now, your daughter's ex reported what he reported she was doing.
Doing drugs and domestic violence. Domestic violence was not in front of the children, but 1 time in front of one of them. And he has just turned this into a real mess. I was able to see the kids. I was picking them up, taking them to school every day from his house, picking them up, taking them home, or and they have dinner and stuff. And he wanted to sleep with me, and he found out I was talking to my daughter again because I'm the one that called to tell her about her ex committing suicide. And it was the first time we talked in 2 months. Well, when he found out I was talking to her, he kind of flipped the script on me, and I wouldn't sleep with him either. And so he's kept my grandkids away from me. And CPS has believed him on everything. And my granddaughter, the youngest one, the 6-year-old, that's Crow, grabbed my daughter's face the other day during the visit and said, "Get the F out of my house." And she whispered it. She grabbed my daughter's face and she said, "Get the F out of my house." And she goes, "What's that mean?" And the 7-year-old said, "Yeah, Dad does that to us all the time." And because the kids all call him Dad because their dad.
Yeah, but didn't the children tell about the abuse that they're getting from their guardian?
Yep.
And what does CPS do?
My daughter. She said that she would go talk to the kids at school the next day and let my daughter know. And then Friday came and went and never heard a word. The only time my daughter hears from him is when she thinks that she's doing something wrong in the visit with the kids, like taking my grandson shopping for stuff to make him comfortable at the foster home that he's at 50 miles away. And she said, that's not cool. All you're doing is buying their love. My daughter's not buying their love. She's trying to make him comfortable. And she rewards good behavior, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the CPS worker, the only time that my daughter hears from her is when he feels that my daughter's doing something wrong. My daughter's doing 24 hours of classes per week on top of her 40-hour job and seeing the kids 3 times a week. It's like, I don't know what more my daughter's supposed to do, But she requested a status hearing because CPS worker never comes over to home visits or nothing. Never ask about what she's doing, what classes and stuff. And so my daughter, I told her, call and tell him you want a status hearing. You want to go before the judge, let the judge know what you're doing. Because the first intake worker, she trashed my daughter so bad. And my daughter needs to get that thrown out because 96% of it is lies about my daughter at the CPS. I call them they're awful people. They're just terrible.
Yeah, I don't have to be convinced. I know they are firsthand because I speak from experience. So I know that they're awful and they're very misleading. They make promises they don't keep and they lie and so forth. Have you tried to replace? Has she tried to replace her CPS worker?
Yeah, she called her lawyer yesterday and said, she texted because she does everything through text. So she has proof of everything. And she said, I want a new caseworker. And if you can't do that for me, I need a new public defender. And see, I'm selling my land. And as soon as I get the money, I want to hire Vince.
Yeah, that would be a good choice. Well, here's the thing is that, the public defenders, and I hate to say something bad about them because they have a job, they're trying to be a lawyer. They're not a family law attorney. They don't have the experience of fighting CPS. They're in cahoots with CPS. And on top of that, probably in cahoots with the judge and friends of the social workers, attorneys.
Yeah.
So they're only in there to really, and they only meet you the day of the hearing. They don't meet you ahead of time. They don't talk ahead of time. They have a caseload.
Because he said he has an interest in my daughter's case. He definitely says he has an interest, which is nice. But she put in 2 weeks ago for the status hearing, and we still don't have a date for it. She wants to get before the judge, and he's like, I still don't have a date yet. He hasn't gotten back to me yet on a date. Well, get it going because May 15th is another court date on them trying to take the kids from her.
Well, she should give up there. The thing is that have you guys tried to go to upper management in the CPS structure?
Yeah. Her supervisor? Yeah.
Yeah. Do they work or do they help or not?
No, they never answer their phone.
Have you tried the director? Have you tried the director of CPS?
No, I didn't know there was a director.
Yeah, there is a director. I mean, I dealt with my director, and he was rude and arrogant. And went in one ear, went out the other ear, and all he was about money. And he wasn't much help. But there's a director that you can apply to.
Okay. And they gave me once a month to see my grandkids. How do they know I'm not a Jim Jones follower and I'm going to have everybody drink the Kool-Aid or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who are these people? I mean, I have never talked to her new caseworker. I've never wanted to for that reason.
Well, they don't talk to grandparents. They think grandparents don't exist.
Well, you know what? I called CPS last week. I woke up furious. And I called CPS and the lady, they answered the phone. I said, I want to know why I can't see my grandkids. I want to know what I did. Because I talked to my daughter and I'm supporting her because she's doing so good. Shame on you if you don't support your kids if they do well.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I don't appreciate that. And I said, I really don't care what you appreciate or not.
Right.
I'm here to ask a question and I want an answer. Why can't I see my grandchildren? And she goes, well, I don't know. There isn't no grandparent rights. I said, you better get on Google and look that up because it's all over Google. Montana has grandparent rights. And I guess I need to file something to get that invoked. But, you know, I live with my daughter, so they wouldn't give me the kids. You know, my daughter needed a wake-up call. She didn't need all this stuff that's going on. That's all she needed. And she was already straight for almost 3 weeks. And so was her boyfriend. He was already in treatment. And when all this happened, and my daughter kept saying when they took it, where were you guys a month ago? You know, God, why are you taking my kids now? He's in treatment. I'm getting ready to start treatment. I quit 3 weeks ago. I'm not using any drugs at all. And you're taking my kids.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Well,
You know?
it's money that's drawing them into power. You see, when they realize they can make a lot of money trafficking children, they that's what their primary goal is. I mean, they're given bonuses. And I know this firsthand from my social worker. I found out all kinds of atrocities that she did. And I went to the top. I did all that for a year and a half, but I just couldn't get anywhere. So I finally hired Vincent Davis, sold my house, used the money I have to hire him. And I got back my 2 boys. I lost my daughter, though. She's 21 today. She was stolen at age 12, and she was brainwashed into thinking her parents were bad. So the social worker, because she lost her case, did revenge, and she said to our daughter, divorce your parents, divorce your brothers, divorce your grandparents, change your name, seal your birth certificate, and get adopted. And she did all that. That was not her doing, that was the social worker doing for revenge.
Oh my God.
And
I
so,
can imagine what these guys are going to do is revenge.
yeah, at age 21, she's helpless out there. And she.
Have you seen her?
No, I've not seen her since she's 12. No, I've not seen her at all. My wife has not seen her since she's 12. Her brothers, we encourage her brothers, even though she divorced from her brothers still sees her. But she's so open right. Pardon?
They do? They see her?
Well, yeah, because we encourage our sons, my sons, to go see her.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they knew where she was. That's great.
I mean, she's 21 anyway, so they can't force her. They don't. I mean, one of my sons is 24. The others just turned 18. But they visit with my sister from time. Visit with my daughter, their sister, from time to time.
And you haven't seen her?
Nope. My wife and I have not seen her. At first, there was visitations, but they were terminated. My wife was only seen her. I never seen her since she's taken from my home. She wasn't in imminent danger. She was at school, and they took them from school.
Yeah, that's what they did with my daughter too. One of them they did, and then they went to the other one, and the other 2 were with the caller, the accusers, godparents. Yeah, and they can go to Lodge Grass, which is like 2 hours away.
Okay.
Every weekend they come down, and the godparents come down and pick up my 3 little grandkids, and take them to Lodge Grass from Friday evening, Friday after school, until Monday morning. They drop them off back at school. But I have to have permission to see my grandkids once a month because of this idiot.
Right.
That they wanted to believe that, you know, they need to open an investigation against him for grabbing my grandkids' faces and telling them to get the F out of his house.
Well, also about throwing one of your grandkids down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you know what they did? They moved him 50 miles away, and then they texted my daughter the day after they did it to let her know. Oh, your son's no longer
boy.
so-and-so's house. He's in Roundup, 50 miles away, in a foster home. And he had just lost his dad, and he was the one that was affected the most, and we were out of our minds. And then there was a boy that Tuesday they took him. Wednesday is when we found out. Friday, I had a notification go across my phone. 12-year-old boy found deceased.
Oh, no.
I lost it. It wasn't my grandson, thank God. I mean, my heart and my prayers went out to that family that lost their guy.
How did that happen? How did that guy die? How did that guy die?
He was killed by other teenagers. His body was hidden in a shed.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so juveniles are going to prison for that. But, you know, for that notification to come across my phone, I lost it. Because I didn't know if my grandson was suicidal or what. You know, I mean, he was 10, 50 miles away. I had no idea what he was feeling. And I wrote to that intake worker because she's the one that did it. And I think she's the one who kept it so long in her court because got all the bonuses and stuff. And I texted her and said, you know, how dare you? You know, I was very educated about what I said to her, but I said, you know, what happened was you didn't send my grandson. You lied to me. I thought we were on the same page. She called me and we talked for like 50 minutes one night. And I said, you know, he needs to stop telling my grandson he's going to go to a group home or to a foster home.
Okay.
I said, they don't get along. He ran to Albertsons and called the cops 3 times. My grandson did because of the abuse. And they made him go back there. But anytime my grandson said anything to a caseworker, they would say, oh, he's just got a lot on his plate. You don't think my 12-year-old grandson does? He just lost his dad. He's taken away from his mom. And then you send him 50 miles away.
That's wrong.
I mean, it is so wrong.
Yeah.
But thank God they're good people. He really likes them. He wants us to remain friends when he comes home. And, you know, they're coming home. One way or another, they're coming home. You know, they are coming home. My daughter's doing everything she's supposed to be doing. You know, and I'm just waiting to sell my land. I have somebody that's interested in it. It's going to be a cash deal, and then I'm going to hire in Davis.
That'd be a good choice. That'd be a good choice.
Yeah, we each have a 42 USC 1983 loan file as well, because our civil rights have been they've been obstructed in this.
Well, yeah, in order to do a civil rights case, you got to have that case closed, though. You can't sue them until the case is closed.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on. And I was going to file, I don't know how to say it, big butt, something bus. Omnibus or omni.
All the omnibus person, that's not, they're like the CASA, the court appointed. These people that are supposed to speak the rights for children are awful. They don't really help. Okay. They're in cahoots. They're in cahoots. The omnibus person is supposed to investigate, but they won't. They're in cahoots with the CPS.
Oh my gosh, who is it?
That's a good point. It's all involves money. You know, if you're able to make $20,000 off a child every month, you know, and you only spend maybe $5,000 of it to foster care families, you got a net of $15,000.
Yeah, I'm sure it pays, you know, counselors, whatever.
Well, I know my social worker bragged about her Gucci purse, her BMW car, her clothing, her eyelashes, her makeup. She always said, I get another bonus. Love it. Keep your kids in the system. I get money all the time.
Well, they're going to have to give those kids back because it's not right. I mean, my daughter screwed up for 6 months out of her life. She was doing drugs, and her and her fiance were fighting. You know, and she needed a wake-up call. She didn't need all this.
Well, that's the problem is CPS is bad. I mean, they're child traffickings. I call them the only person that can illegally legally traffic a child, and they put them into foster care.
Well, a friend of mine started the human trafficking task force here in Billings, Montana. She was running for Congress last year. I think I should get a hold of her.
Yeah.
And talk to her, because I want to go after these people for their injustice. You know.
Yeah, civil lawsuit would be the way to do it. Yeah. You're right. Civil lawsuit would be the way to do it there. I know. So we have I was going to say we have someone came into the room that says Lori Hiller. Welcome, Lori. I don't know what city or state you're from, but if you have a CPS case, you'd like to make a comment, please do, Lori. Welcome. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry, Stella. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm glad somebody else has joined. But I talked to you the other night. I was going to call you back the next night, but I thought, I told him enough for now. But
I'm glad you told me. And as I say, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day, so I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, I
know. And I'm very regular too, because I care about everybody in this room. That girl last night that was an Armenian girl that was being trafficking, and she was going to the news. That was an interesting case, but hopefully, Amnesty International or Safe Passage in California will help her out, because she needs something like that.
Yeah, she's being tricked.
Oh,
and it's not good.
It's amazing that guys can trick women. I know there are women that trick guys, but I think it's more guys that are after the women for they know that sex sells money, and so these Middle Eastern guys think, oh, I get 100 virgins if I do this or something like that. I don't know what their rationale with their religion is.
That's wrong. It's so wrong. That's another part of human trafficking.
Oh, and with one of the big, Iran is one of the top terrorist countries in the world.
Yeah. I know most from Iran. His mom just died. He's a nice guy. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
Take her back to the
well, I'm not saying all Iranians are bad people. It's just that there's so many bad elements out there. They infiltrate, and it seems like the country itself doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, most of the scams are coming out of South Africa.
Yeah.
People, guys, give money and stuff. That's awful.
Yeah, it is.
And there's elderly people. There's females that fall for it.
Oh, it happens to all classes of people, no matter how old you are. It is really, really hard. I just feel sad that I can't wave a wand and make it all right for you.
Right. Yeah.
But I am glad that you're sharing your thoughts and your feelings, because I know how hard it is to call in and talk about it, and especially with your daughter who, did wrong. She got a wake-up call. Now she's doing, all the parenting classes and other things. She's probably drug-free now, and so those are all positive things.
It's wonderful. I mean, she has a job where she has 30 employees. She's a general manager of a place, and she held her job the whole time that she was doing the drugs and everything.
Good.
A bad situation, and she said she never wants to go back to that. It was something she tried, she did, she conquered, and time to go on.
Yeah.
And these people are just messing with her so bad. I mean, there's days I walk around going, I'm going to go postal on CPS. I promise you. They're just crazy people, man. They're not right in the head.
Well, maybe you can, you can, talk to the director and see if you can make any headway. But until you get an attorney, don't count on that public defender to help you.
Yeah, she's noticing that now. I told her I called the guy about my land that wants to buy my land as soon as it's sold. I'm calling old Vince. And I wanted to bring him to Montana.
Yeah.
Because she needs something good. And he's good. I listen to all the podcasts and stuff.
Okay.
Learn a lot. I've ordered books that he suggested. And I actually was going to school to be a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Years ago when my oldest daughter is 42 now. And she was 5 when I started school.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. But I didn't finish. I should have.
Well, it's never too late to go back and finish. It's never too late.
That's true. Never know. Never know.
Well, my faith in God helps me go. So as long as I have faith in God, I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He is the one that keeps me going.
Yep. Well, you live in a pretty place of the country, Montana. It's wide open, so.
Oh, yeah. It is. And I'm going to my son graduates this weekend in Idaho with his doctorate in sports medicine.
Okay.
And I'm flying out there for his graduation. And he's moving back to Montana. I'm so glad. He already got a job.
Oh, good. Good.
They own a house here in Montana, and they own a house in Boise. So they're going to rent out the house in Boise now and move back to the house in Montana.
Right.
So my son gets to be under the Montana skies again. I'm so happy. Yep. A lot to be thankful for.
Yep.
And a lot to be really mad at CPS about.
Yeah, that's one agency I wish would go through some changes, but the only way you're going to get them to change is that we got to get Congress involved to make changes.
That's right. And more than me has to do that. It has to be a lot of people calling the congressman and telling them what's going on with CPS. I read federal regulations the other night, and they're totally, it's not valid what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're getting this funding, and that funding, I mean, it probably takes care of the national deficit, the amount of money that's going out from the Fed, and that needs to stop. They need to be held accountable, for what's going on with this federal money.
Well, there's a case down in, let me think here, Kentucky, at a place called Richmond, where the CPS was investigated of how they're spending their money, and there's $389,000 they couldn't find out what happened to it.
They bonuses or?
They used it for bonuses to the workers, but it's $389,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's just for 1 year or 1 month or what?
Well, I guess they're just auditing the books, I guess, for a year, I guess.
Oh. Well, they need to be doing more of that. Put these guys on notice. You're spending federal money, and we need to know how you're spending it. It's just being handed over fist. It's ridiculous. If they want to hand over money like that, help the homeless, help the people that are struggling so that they don't end up.
Well, I know about one guy I talked to. This guy lost his wife, unfortunately, and he's stuck with trying to get his children back, and he's up in Alaska living in a tent, and it's really cold up there.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
And he's trying to get his kids back. He loves them. And he's camped out by the courthouse in a tent, and he's trying to get his kids back.
Wow.
Yeah, I hear really strenuous stories here. It's really awful what people are going through.
I could imagine.
And the CPS doesn't care. Their appeal system doesn't work. They're corrupt. They lie. I have 3 rules. One rule is you need to get an attorney, and it's the same thing if you're going through open heart surgery, you need a surgeon. You don't need a layman or yourself to cut into your body. You need a professional. Same thing goes for
Right.
CPS. They're really a bad agency. And I
Yep.
tell it's like Alice in Wonderland. You fall in the rabbit hole, and suddenly you're faced with all these doors that go nowhere. And with the
Yep.
attorney, he or she can negotiate and knows how to work in CPS. And this time, I always talk about Vincent W. Davis. He's a family law attorney. He has many years' experience of fighting CPS and getting your children back. And
Yep.
he's able for a consultation of $60 for 30 minutes. He'll talk to you. All you have to do is call in 888 and speak to him, and he'll tell you that strategy is how to fight CPS and get your children back. It'll be well worth the 30 minutes you spend because he knows his
Right.
stuff well, and he's a fighter. He's a fighter, so you can't go
Yes, he
wrong
is.
there. And then my rule number two is you always need to take a notebook to take notes, and you need to write down the
Yep. I have
incidents.
enough one.
Yeah, you have to
I
write
have it.
down your incidents, your date and time, and the people involved. Next line, you write down the
Yep.
description of what happened, and then you write the other
Yep.
line. Then you want to say the conclusion, how it ended. So that's really important. But you keep all those notes because you need them later on when you do get an attorney or you need to refer to them. So it's important to have them.
Yep.
And then
I have copies of
the
all of them
third
as
rule,
well.
as I say, is the one I made a mistake: is you don't talk to social workers. You don't let them in your home. Your home is your castle unless there's immediate danger. They're not supposed to be in your home. Immediate danger I define as there's a shooting in progress. The child is being thrown against the wall for excessive crying. Those kind of things I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. See, none of that was going on with my grandkids at all. I lived there. I know they were fighting with each other,
Yeah.
not in front of the kids, behind closed doors. That's the one time. Police were never called. No report, except for from her text.
I agree. I agree.
He is now a foster home,
Yeah.
so he's getting that foster money now.
Yeah. Well,
How much do they get a month?
yeah. I remember my son was in foster care. They bought him 100 pairs of socks. I said, why'd they do that? They said they had to use the money, they'll lose it. I said, well, at least they could have bought you me 100 pairs of underwear or something, but he didn't know what to do with
Yeah.
all these socks.
Wow. How much do they get a month? The foster.
Well, one lady told me she works as a cashier and she saw a check for $14,000.
Wow.
She was trying to cash a check for
Wow.
$14,000 from CPS. So I know they get money. I don't know how much they get, but
Yeah, because he's now a foster home. So
yeah, and
which
they
is
abuse
just
people there too. They're not safe. So
no, they're abusing. He's abusing my grandkids,
yeah,
and they're supposed to be up an investigation. Well, you don't get back to my daughter to let my daughter know what's going on.
right, right. I don't know what's happened to Lori Hiller, but you came on, but I haven't heard anything more from you. Um, you and her are the only two people that have texted in this morning. My co-hosts have not said anything, so I don't know if they're around or not. But I have two of them that interested in.
Miss G and
Yeah,
Danielle and
right.
Tracy, they were really good.
Yeah,
That's why my daughter
There
called.
was Kay from Richmond, Kentucky, and Danielle from Georgia.
I watched it last weekend. Tracy from New York.
Yes, I remember that. Yes, yes. I have interest in people that call in and they're desperate need, and it's always sad. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, she's the one that gave me the idea about calling to have my daughter call Indian Spirit.
Yeah, yeah. Now there's another thing called a 388 motion that expedites a chance to speak to the judge. They have to have a hearing within 30 days when you file a 388 motion. Now, it may not be called in Montana 388, but it's a motion that, let me see if I can get it up here.
Her lawyer said he filed to the status hearing.
Well, it's like a status hearing, but this is a little bit more. This is a little bit more. Yeah, I am. I'm looking for is what I'm doing. I have all these tabs, about 65 tabs open, and they're so small it's hard to read. I know I just had it because here it is. Here it is. What are 388 motions? Well, they're basically a modification of the juvenile court judgments and orders, and you can file them. They're a way to modify or change juvenile court judgments and orders. They're filed. There's when there is a change of circumstances or new evidence. So, for instance, let's say some more things have been completed. That's new. That's when you file the 388 motion.
Well, I think that sounds a lot like a status hearing.
Yeah, it's to a hearing to change, modify, or set aside any previous court order or terminate the court's jurisdiction. And so within 30 days, the judge must have a hearing. But you,
That's the same thing that she.
yeah, it probably is. It probably is. But they're supposed to do it within 30 days. So. And whoever files the motion, they must notify all parties to the case, including the children's attorneys and probation officers. Yep.
Yeah, I think that sounds just like a status hearing.
Right, it probably is. But it's important that it does get enacted, and you may have to, I don't know, well, the public defender should do it, but sounds like he's got his caseload too busy, and he doesn't want anything to rock the boat.
Yeah, he's waiting for a date from the judge. Waiting for the judge to give him a date on this.
Well, you don't wait. You need to nag and call. So. But I hope that you and your daughter get your kids back, and be persistent at it. Don't give up, because you eventually will get them back. And I know it's hard. And once the case is closed, I hope you have the best of luck to sue them, because they did wrong. They did wrong to you, and that is wrong for them to do that.
It's totally messed up. Yeah. And her fiance has a good thing going because of him being native.
Well, if there's Indian blood in the children, all that means is that CPS must find out if they're registered or could be registered. And if they are registered Indian tribe that's recognized by the federal government, then the children will be put into the tribe, and the tribe will put them with the Indian families.
Right.
So then whoever's going through the hiccups, they can be reunited again. So. But I want to thank you very much for taking your time. My time is up. I got to close the show, but I'm on again tonight at 7 o'clock and tomorrow at 10 o'clock and so forth. So I'm around anytime you want to come in. I'm glad that you came and spoke to me again. And best of luck with your case. And God bless you and everybody out there. Thank you all for you guys calling in. And with that being said,